Gulf War, probably one of the most important wars that occurred in the 20th century for one of Mother Earth's most important resources, oil. So what exactly were the causes of this war and the consequences thereafter? So what exactly is the Gulf War? It was a war fought between Iraq and a coalition led by the United States that freed Kuwait from the Iraqi invaders in the year 1990 to 1991. Over 1 million troops faced each other on the battlefield. Revolutionary technology such as stealth bombers, laser-guided missiles made this battle truly unlike any other. So let's start with the causes, shall we? Saddam Hussein's Iraq had invaded Kuwait. This is due to Kuwait being rich in the resource of oil. Oil. Over half the world's oil at Saddam Hussein's fingertips, everyone knew and agreed he had to be stopped. Saddam Hussein's need for oil was because he had amassed a huge debt with Western Europe during the Iran-Iraq War government and needed some way to repay that money. Wealth. Controlling this amount of oil means that he has control over the economy. Raising the prices of the oil means that Saddam Hussein can gain the money necessary to repay Western Europe. However, the increase in prices will definitely affect all the other nations. US President George Bush took action shortly after Saddam Hussein took over Kuwait. After the Iran-Iraq War, Saddam Hussein had gained confidence in his military and therefore decided to invade Kuwait. This was one of the riskiest and boldest moves made by Saddam Hussein, and one that would start the war. Militarism. Hussein had also caught Kuwait exceeding quotas set out by the OPEC, which drove the price of oil down, making Iraq lose money. And not just that, but Iraq did also not have direct access to the Persian Gulf, which would help in the exporting and importing of goods. Wealth is considered to be an immediate trigger to the war, because it led to Saddam Hussein invading Kuwait. However, being a trigger as it was caused by long-term events, such as the Iran-Iraq War, which lasted 8 years. What were the consequences of the war? War resulted in heavy environmental catastrophes in the Persian Gulf and the beginning of an internal independence fight in Iraq. For about 6 to 8 years, Iraq was constantly presented as an evil power in the Western media. This crippled Iraq's reputation. For Kuwait, the war came to represent less damage to the economy and environment than was first expected. The 640 burning oil wells were extinguished more quickly than was first anticipated, and the rebirth of the economy was aided by reparations paid by Iraq in the amount of US $22 billion. Overall, the main consequence of the war was a civil war that started in Iraq, loss in wealth, damage to infrastructure, damage to the environment, death tolls of over 40,000 people, giving other countries the opportunity of becoming more technologically advanced. Helping bond some land systems, this is a consequence for Iraq, and a small economical crisis. Why are these consequences so important though? Well, a small economic crisis could affect the world globally. This also affected wealth problems. For example, Iraq went into mortgage, and just like any war, technology can be salvaged from tanks, missiles, infantry, weapons, etc., which will help the enemy develop new weapons and advancement in technology. So if everything is so typical about this war, what makes it unique? It was the first war in which 34 nations commissioned to a coalition force, the first united global act to prevent economical catastrophe, the first opportunity for the US to test out their neo-concept weapons, the first major US war for oil. It was a war in which the United States first unveiled its new stealth technology, the F-117A stealth fighter. It was the first time that the United States had launched a coordinated coalition attack against Iraq. It was the first time for the United States of America to lead a coalition force of 34 nations! That's what makes this war truly unique.
Please hang up and try again.
Why do I only talk about the US?